What evil lurks in the dark? A question we have all asked ourselves many times. Together, we can start uncovering the truth and mystery behind the darker side of the otherworldly. And now your host of See You in the Dark, Michelle Roos.
Good evening and welcome everyone to another episode of See You in the Dark. We are still going to be talking a little bit about the darker side of paranormal, but today I am going to have the privilege of having an amazing guest with me, not just because of all the stuff that he's done or where you guys have all seen him, but I got the chance to actually talk to him about some of the things that have happened to him, the things that he sees, and I never knew until we actually spoke that he also has abilities. And I would like to tap into that and kind of just pick his brain. He does know a lot about shadow people, skinwalkers, and things like that. So, before we bring him on, though, I did want to tell everybody a little bit about Dave Childers. We know him as an actor, a speaker. He's actually the co founder of Haunted Network. He's gotten to work with some amazing people. One of my favorites, Stormy Daniels of Spooky Babes Paranormal Show. You guys have probably have seen him on, the Travel Channel numerous times. Paranormal 911, haunted hospitals. He's worked with, Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel, Finding Bigfoot. So, he brings so much to the field. And, we always just hear bits and pieces of what social media lets us see or what he puts on there. And today, I want to be able to dig a little deeper and really see who David is. And I'm not going to hold too much longer. I would love to introduce everybody to David Childers. Hello,
Hey,
hello. How are you, sir?
hey, how's it going? Doing all right this morning?
Yes, doing great. You've got this big, long bio, but I didn't want to read everything off. A lot of the guests out there, kind of like to hear your story. And you've been with some amazing people and have done some amazing things. But on this show, we kind of want to know who David really is. Like I never knew you had abilities until we spoke. I didn't know the broad range of what you know about shadow people and things like that. And so we kind of want to know if you got a moment, just kind of tell us who Dave Childers is.
Well, nobody's special, just another person. Oh man, I've been I've been in the field for about 27 years now. Had a lot of experiences, a lot of craziness happen. Whenever I first started off, I was like 13 years old. I think I was 10, 13, something like that. I don't know. I'm 44 now, so all that's a blur. But back then, lived with my father, and we lived on family property. It was like Civil War property. One of the battles of the Civil War happened there. Well, one of the smaller battles of the Civil War. It's all in the same, area of Vicksburg, Mississippi, where the Civil War, one of the biggest battles happened. But anyway, just got through watching Crocodile Dundee, and I went outside, I had my snake skin boots on. I don't know why I had Daisy Dukes on, but I did. But I was young. Uh, and went out there and I had a Bowie knife I made out of wood, and it was dust, and I was acting like I was Crocodile Dundee. The next thing you know, I look at the wood line and I see a full body apparition of a Civil War soldier, full beard and everything. I ran inside, told my dad. My dad was, "Oh, it's your imagination, blah 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 blah," and it just went on from there. I started getting into horror movies, and of course reading scary stories, and just doing at my age what I call research, and it just went from there, and started a couple of teams up. I think I've started 4 teams up in the past, and now I just do solo stuff. And it's so funny about my dad. I ended up bringing him into it in 2012. I brought him into the paranormal field, and he saw his first shadow person at Parkview Hospital in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and he started getting into it. So he investigated me for about 3 or 4 years. He still believes in it, so that's definitely a good thing. My mother's side, my mother's side of the family. They've always had abilities, and I rarely saw my mom because she lived in Alabama. And my dad raised me. I lived with him the whole time. So it was like I did not know that side of my family until here probably about 8 years ago, whenever she started telling me about it, this and that. And that's whenever I started diving deeper into it. And that's really about it, the very beginning in a nutshell.
Well, that's actually interesting. A lot of us, we talk about having some type of abilities when we're younger, and we're just trying to make sense of it, and I was talking about how I kind of see them, I see 'em like when I'm talking to you, and when you're younger, you don't know if it's a real person or not. With your abilities, do you see them, hear them, sense them, or all together?
Well, with basically what I can do is, like, of course, it comes goes, start channeling or whatever. And if I'm in a location, it'd just hit me. It'd just hit me that spirit's there. I can close my eyes and I can see, like, before I ask the question, or if I ask the question, I can sit here and see the answer. It's so weird because I can see it in bold face, like letter move move right to left. And I can see exactly what the answer could be. And the next thing you know, if that answer is, if it's not my imagination, if it's not being, compromised, contaminated, if I get an EVP or whatever, then I can match it up to that. I'll just write it down, whatever I see. Then later on, whenever we go through the evidence, see if it matches up. That right there, I can see spirit every now and then. It's very rare, but I can see what they look like. I can see them, the facial features, all that good stuff. What clothes they're wearing, what color they are, if they're dirty, if they're clean, blah blah blah. It depends on the location. It depends on how crisp and clear they are, and what kind of event that happened there. So it's basically I'm all over the place. And I can hear spirit, but it's more as disembodied voice wise. But if I hear it, somebody else usually hear it. So that right there is just a natural thing, I'm sure. Getting the DVPs. Other than that, that's about it. That is about it. I remember the first time I did see one, though, it scared the hell out of me. It was so weird. I didn't, I thought everybody was crazy saying that they actually could see spirit. But first time I saw it, I was like, oh, Lord Jesus. I turned around, I walked right out of the house. I got my vehicle and I left, and I was like, man, come on now. Everybody was right. I was wrong.
Well, and I seen that, you've been on some shows, like Paranormal 911 and stuff, and your stories are interesting when they're showing them. Have you ever been at one of those locations, when you're doing some of that, they're shooting and all that, and, things are going crazy because of your energy and the vibes that you bring into it?
That happened actually 2 occasions. One of them, it only happened like one time. I was filming with Ghost Adventures, Zach and them, and we were at Kuhn Memorial Hospital in Vicksburg, and I actually got it on video. It actually made the cut on the episode. We were sitting here talking, and Zach was like, he was asking about Michael, the non-human entity, this and that, and I was like, yeah, I forgot what I said. It's on episode, but I was, saying, yeah, Michael's here in this building, blah, 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 this, that. And next thing you know, and we're on the outside. This whole place is like, I guess it reminds you of Waverly Hills. It's just a bone of a structure. It's just gutted out, no windows, this and that. And next thing you know, we hear, bam, a loud door slam on the second floor. And we react to it. We look and we go running up there. And we walk after we stop filming. After we cut that part of the filming, we started walking the hallways, and there wasn't a single door that was closed. All of them were wide open. And there was no wind blowing that day at all. So that was pretty cool. Now, whenever I was filming with haunted hospitals, this was pretty interesting. We were sitting in the sound room recording, and next thing you know, there was a drape over the window. So whenever people walk by, we were at the Millennium, the Buffalo Motel, the Millennium in Buffalo, New York. Let me go ahead and get that out there, right? We were we were sitting in there, and there was like a thick blanket over the window where the passersby, they couldn't see in. So we're sitting there, and I'm talking about some of my stories, and some of it's on camera, some of it's off camera. And I was sitting there talking. Next thing you know, the blanket just fell, and the producer looked at me, and I looked at her, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think that was paranormal. It probably just fell. She was like, okay, all right. So we're sitting there later on. Next thing you know, the water bottle she had beside her. We were actually filming this, and I was real deep into my story. And the water bottle that was sitting beside her flew off the table. And she stopped. I saw it. And she saw it. She saw it in the corner of her eye, too. And she looked over. She looked at me. She was like, David, we got to take a break. I was like, hey, look, I didn't bring them here. They just wanted to make themselves known, She still talks about that till this day, So I thought that was pretty cool. We kept on having just crazy stuff like the electrical stuff in the room. It would go back. It would like just freak out, cut off. The screen projector would minimize all the way from the backdrop. It would like minimize all the way down to small, and it was definitely interesting. Now the Millennium, it's haunted too as well. So they picked a great location to film at.
I gotta say, I would have to strongly believe that a lot of hospitals are, even the ones that are still up and going. Think of a lot of the tragedies that do happen there. I have a hard time going to a hospital, even going to an emergency room, because things just start coming out of the walls and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, not right now. You can go away. And they don't go away. It's like, I always call it the zombie effect because that's how they walk, like they're just lost.
Right, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you brought that up about the zombie effect.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm not crazy then, because the first time, well, I moved up to New Hampshire, excuse me. Moved up to New Hampshire, and my real job, I do service calls and stuff like that. And I went through a traumatic experience. Whenever me and my ex broke up, I went through traumatic experience, and I think that really opened me up. 100%
Hmm.
opened me up. Well, I went inside of this cottage. Actually, it's only like 5 minutes down the road from me. It's Airbnb, but it's actually a cabin, and I know where the key is and all that, and I do the service call in there. And nobody's there. And I opened up the door, and whenever I opened up the door, I took one step in, and there's a staircase that comes down to the living room. The rest of it, you can only see like a quarter of the living room. And as soon as I walked in, I looked up, and it was the creepiest thing. It was like this 6 foot tall, real skinny guy. He looked in his 30s, and he come walking around the staircase, and like he was walking like a zombie, dragging his foot, holding like his arm was held up, and he just looked like he drowned.
Oh,
And I saw that. I'm getting chill bumps even thinking about it. I'm like,
yeah.
oh my God. I was like, nope. I turned around, I walked outside and got my van, and I left. I went to go take a break. I was like, man, did I just see that? But yeah, I totally freaking saw it.
Yeah, I mean, when I see them like that, a lot of times hospitals, asylums especially,
Yeah.
have that. And, you know, I, I don't even like, I used to watch The Walking Dead, but the zombie thing, I'm just not down with,
Yeah.
because I'm like, you're already dead. What's going on?
Yeah.
And, but the first time I ever seen something like that, you say, oh, nope, not right now. And you try to turn and they're still there. It will scare the holy bejesus out of you.
Yeah.
It's it's like, and I always thought shadow beings, would be the thing that actually would scare me because, it's like, what really are you?
Yeah.
Um, and I know that you know a lot about the shadow people, they can walk like zombies, they can have different mimic effects and stuff like that. Can you maybe tell our listeners, a little bit about how you perceive a shadow person, what your thoughts are of what they are?
Well, in my opinion, it's just one of my theories that, you know, a lot of people think that shadow people are like a lower level manifestation,
Uh-huh.
that they're just drained because they don't have anything to feed off of. They're older, blah blah blah. Nobody really acknowledges them, this and that. And see, I'm different. I'm different with that. I think that a shadow person is a higher level of manifestation.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
the only reason I say that because you see so many of them, it's a lot easier for them to manifest. It's a lot easier to see them and not out the peripheral vision, the corner of your eye type thing. I mean, that's your peripheral vision. It does that, you know. But if you
Yeah.
see them straight on, then your eyes aren't playing tricks on you in the complete darkness. If you have some light there, then that's whenever, yeah, you could say it's a shadow person. But I really do think they're a higher level. Um, just like a full body apparition, you rarely see full body apparitions, which I've seen them before. I've seen them, they're transparent, but yet you can still see flesh tone, and you can see sort of like what clothes they were wearing, this and that, even half body apparition, quarter body apparitions, just pieces of the body. And
Yeah.
I really do think they're just a higher manifestation because I mean they can, like you said, they can mimic, they can do all kinds of stuff. Now you're going to the shadow people that could be mimicking, or it could be a non-human entity that we have actually created, we have actually manifested in a location. Multiple people probably have because they go there, they want to see something, and they eventually end up manifesting this being, and that's how it turns out, is some sort of weird looking shadow person.
Yeah, I have to agree with that too, because, you think about all these locations, when paranormal kind of like blew up and everybody's doing it, you know, um, all that stuff that gets dropped off in these locations. I mean, you think about it, they're laying dormant. And then when you start bringing people in and they bring in, whether they're depressed, happy, glad, they start manifesting all these. Now, do you think with that they also manifest those crawlers?
Yeah, they could. That's what I call them watchers.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I call them watchers. Basically, yeah, it's the same thing. Same thing. I'm sure some of them, people they, identify them differently, but I think it's more of a non-human entity that has been manifested, and basically what it is, it keeps the other spirits at bay, human spirits at bay, from communicating with us. Basically, it's their parasites. They like scaring children. These are the things that hide up under the bed just to scare children. That's where they get the rocks off, and that's how they get their energy out, over fear and over fright. And I mean, they're parasites, so that's what they do.
Yeah.
They feed off of that, and they can't do anything else. They can't do anything, nothing. And they're bullies to human spirits, and the human spirits are scared of them because they think they are powerful, and they're not. They're just low life manifestations that we've created.
Well, and if we talk about, like you said, human spirits, a lot of them we still see because a lot of them don't realize they're passed on. So,
Hmm.
I could see them having the same reaction as us being alive, being scared, because I call them crawlers because it's always the half body stuff and they slither across either the floor or the wall, like you said, a parasite.
Hmm.
And my gosh, you see them so much more and more than, I have been to like a location numerous times. And, each time you go, it seems like a different layer gets taken off. But I have noticed that a lot of these locations, even though we don't speak about it because, either the owners don't want to let you know or want people to know, is I'm starting to see more of the darker side of these places. Have you been running into any of that yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%, 100%. Before we get into that, before I forget, I will backtrack just a second, uh,
Yeah.
just to say, going on what you were talking about human emotions, this and that. I mean, that's just like cemeteries. You go to cemeteries. I mean, why would somebody that's passed away, why would they hang around there at the cemetery? There's so many emotions that go into those cemeteries. People laughing, people crying, people, whatever, happy, blah blah blah. All these emotions
Yeah.
of the human spirit, human soul. There, why couldn't it manifest something? Something different. Something that's like, oh, now I'll get a knowledge type thing. That here to see so, but that's not so. I can act like so, blah blah blah. But
Thank you. I'm glad you said that.
yeah,
I am so glad you said that.
that's right. There is your haunting of your cemeteries, possibly.
Well, no, and see, and that is one location. I don't know what it is. I cannot go into a cemetery. Soon as it goes dusk, It's like, I think my spirit guides are like, hell to the hell no. Because I'll go in there and I'm like, okay, I can do this, but I get this. I can't even explain the feeling. It's not really fear,
Hmm.
but it is like a gut wrenching physical sickness that I cannot go into it. Like almost like these cemeteries, they're beautiful during the day, but at night they become the stomping grounds of everything that's not ever been a human spirit,
Right.
and I'm just like, I can't do it. I have tried and tried and tried, and it just does not work for me.
But that's where a lot of them, a lot of the non-human, energies or whatever you want to call them, entity energies. That's where they go and hide. That's just like going back to the crawlers and the watchers. They hide in the basements and they hide in the attic, away from any kind of human activity. But whenever a dark comes out, that's whenever they're able to camouflage themselves and actually stay hidden.
Oh
Because
yeah,
they're
absolutely.
yeah. I mean they're what's the word? I guess they're scaredy cats. Put it that way.
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, oh, you were talking about the dark, getting darker and darker in these investigations in these places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have noticed that. And of course, like you, been in the field, seasoned investigator for years. You are noticing all this stuff, and it is done. It has spiked up a lot. I mean, that's because all the paranormal shows out there have spiked up, and more people are getting into it. They're getting into the paranormal field, or they're being weekend warriors to go get out there and get their paranormal fix, or get their adrenaline rush, their adrenaline fix. Put it that way. And yeah, it could create more and more dark stuff out there, especially if you don't know what they've dabbled in the past, or what they're dabbling in at this time, or what their emotional state, or what they have been through or going through. Because you never know what can be manifested that quick in a location. We could be at a paid event, and somebody could, just getting into Wiccan and start trying to do a binding spell and does it totally freaking wrong, just 100%, hacks it.
Oh,
Uh,
oh yeah. I've seen it. It is like, why are you doing it here?
yeah, yeah. So, whatever it is, I mean, it's the energies, like you said as well too. I mean, you could have three people that have a negative attitude about the investigation or about the location, this and that, and just in a real pissy mood. And other people are happy, but those three people could actually cause, just like a ripple effect of nothing but negativity.
Yeah, I've seen that too, and I don't know if you've noticed it, but in a lot of the events I'm doing lately, I am always getting that one person who says, well, the only reason I'm here is because I think with all the spirits here, it's opening up that portal. And I want to see if my son, daughter, grandmother, would come through
Yeah,
to speak to me. And so their intentions when they're coming in is not about the investigation as the event, but they're there for something of their own sole purpose,
right.
of bringing someone in. And I always get a really creepy feeling about that because I feel like they're trying so hard that something darker would come through. Because then I have always noticed that even your regular spirits that you can always get, at least that one light blinking or an EVP, to make everyone happy, is not even there. It's like the whole shift of the location.
Yep. And that's whenever the watchers come in too, as well. You
Ugh,
got
I know.
you got that energy, and they're scared to they're scared to be around it, to even communicate or anything, because you have that one thing that they've either never seen before, or they're scared to death of, but they don't know how to react to it. Maybe they're scared they'll either get in trouble or something happen. And yeah, I've seen it happen many a times. I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it's gotten more and more that way. I've been a couple events where I've got, a group of them. Somebody might have committed suicide, and so they're hoping that, they'll come to this light.
Yeah,
And, you're trying to explain it to them. But then I also notice when they start talking more about it, there's like this crazy shift. And then it's almost like hell broke loose.
yeah,
People are getting actual real attacks. And I've been talking about this on the show, that we have to protect ourselves and do things because more and more people are getting attacked, scratched, pushed. I mean, I've seen it where somebody has walked out with a handprint on their face
Yeah.
because and you're at this location going, "Oh God, that's never happened here before." And I know I don't really do a lot on the East Coast area, and is that happening in those area in those locations too?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, not physical. It's more of emotional attack.
Uh,
That's what I've been saying. It's more of an emotional attack. I don't I don't know if it's just mainly them feeling it, but I don't know. I done switch stuff around, especially the formula whenever I do investigations. Public investigation where it's a lot more light and open,
yeah.
and it's so far it's worked pretty good. It's worked pretty good. But no, I don't think I don't think I've seen anyone get physically attacked. Mm, probably a few years, probably about 6 to 8 years. But all that happened while I was down south in some of the southern haunted locations. Up here, I think it's probably a little bit different because it's so many paranormal teams up here that most most of the spirit knows, hey, look, these people come
Yeah.
here all the time, so I know how to handle this. I've heard them talk about stuff like this, blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
that's just, it could be a little, just a theory.
Well, just hold on to that thought because we are going to take a quick little break and we'll come back and speak a little bit more about the darker side of the paranormal.
While most near death experiencers return to this plane of existence with alluring tales of their time spent in the presence of the divine, what happens when one crosses the veil into the afterlife, into the void? In the new book, Dying to Meet Them, Mindy Toutfest describes her journey to the afterlife after a devastating aneurysm, how a strange turn of events would lead her to spiritual growth, divine healing, UFO experiences, and a greater understanding of the universe. Get your copy of Dying to Meet Them today at Amazon.com or visit unxmedia.com for more information on this book and more amazing selections from Unx Media Publishing at unxmedia.com.
And I want to welcome everyone back to See You in the Dark with my special guest tonight, David Childers. We're talking about some of the darker side of the paranormal and kind of just tapping into David, some of his experiences, some things that have gone on during his long reign of doing investigations. my question to you, David, is what do you feel or what are your thoughts when people go, I'm a ghost hunter?
I hate that word. I hate that word.
Amen. I'm like, because when they say it, I'm like, what are you out like in the woods in a tree with a gun, like when you're deer hunting? I mean, seriously, you
I
know.
know, right? Paranormal investigator is a lot better than that. I mean,
Well, yeah, you think about it, we are trying to find, evidence from the other side, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I know that you have talked once, a couple times about like skinwalkers and shadow people, and or we've talked about crawlers and like or parasites, what you call them. Has there ever been a time where you were doing an investigation and you couldn't leave it, but you just seen the most strangest thing, and you're still to this day trying to figure out if what you seen was real?
now scene wise, yeah, that was probably at the Conjuring House.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was actually it was the first time I investigated it. It was with Stormy Daniels and her crew, Spooky Bay's Paranormal Show. Whenever she was filming that, and we went out there. As soon as all of us got there, we just felt weird. We really felt off, negative, this and that. Which now, I mean, the atmosphere there has changed 100%. It's a
Yeah.
lot better than what it was. I think that's because there was one person that was staying there, and as soon as they left, that's whenever everything shifted. But um, I was well, I was in. It was me and two of the other females, and we were in the kitchen area. It's pitch black. I had a live feed going, Facebook live feed, and we were sitting here. We were asking questions, this and that, and Storm and Barrett, and them. They were sitting in the living room, just being quiet, just listening. And I was sitting here, and one of my friends, Sarah, she was standing to the right of me, and I just happened to look over at Sarah. I could, I know she's there. It's pitch black, but I know she's there. I could see a little bit of her face. Whenever I look over on her left shoulder, it was the weirdest thing. I mean, really, it screwed me up for at least an hour. I'm sitting there, I look over, and I see this face, this outline of a face, just the face right over her left shoulder. And it was like, say, a light bright. You know how
Uh-huh.
the light bright outlines, but it's all dark everywhere else. And I saw the outline of the hair, the way it was wavy up front, and I saw the eyelids, I saw the full face, the lips, all that. That's what I saw, just the outline. And it wasn't real bright; it was sort of dim, but it was the color of a light bright, though, or yellowish, orangish color, or whatever. And as soon as I saw it, I mean, she's right here, right beside me, like an inch away from me. And I was like, whoa, what the hell was that? And they were like, what? And I left out of the kitchen. I'm sitting here in the living room just freaking out because I know what I saw. I know what I saw, right? Never seen anything before like this. So they stopped the investigation. I went outside, and whenever I smoked cigarettes, I know I smoked almost a pack, just chain smoking back to back. My nerves were shot because it screwed me up so bad what I saw. Barrett had to sit out there the whole time with me and try to talk to me, and I kept on explaining, and just couldn't calm me down. And Sarah ended up coming out there. She was like, and I explained to her what I saw, and she was like, "Hold on one sec, I'll be right back." She went in. 5 minutes later, she comes back and she has like a picture. It's pretty big picture, and it was a portrait. And she was like, "Is this the person you saw?" And my mouth just dropped wide open. I was like, "Oh my God, that's who I saw." It was the same woman, had the same, like, not really a bob cut, but the front of it, the wave went right over her left eye, sort of, like if
Yeah.
your hair to the left or whatever. And same facial feature, everything perfect. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's who I saw. Who is that?" And she was like, "That's my mother. She passed away last year. She's with me almost everywhere I go." And I was like, "Oh my God."
Holy crap.
Yes, that screwed me up, and had 6 witnesses there, seeing what, not what I saw, but what I explained, and then saw that photo. And I mean, that was insane. I really wanted to go, but there was another thing that happened there. I saw 3 half body apparitions, which that didn't really freak me out none. It was in the same spot. As soon as you walk out the front door, you look to the left where the bushes and the
Yeah.
corner of the house is, close to I
Yep.
guess where the grill is. It was like I saw every time I went outside, I saw it jet across. It was like a half body apparition of arm. Of course, it looked like it was Caucasian person, maybe with a red shirt on. It was real quick, but you could see through it. It happened 3 times, and it went in the same area every time I went outside. So that I'm thinking, okay, that's probably a residual haunt, or residual intelligent, which a lot of people just pick on residual and they just pick on intelligent. No, there are residual intelligent haunts.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. Can you
Yeah.
explain a little bit to the listeners what that is?
Yeah, just basically what a residual intelligent is. I mean, of course, it's like a broken record. The residual, they keep on playing back whatever their track was, whatever their their activities were, whatever that they were doing whenever they passed away. It could have been traumatic or something like that. They could have just had a heart attack. Who knows? Who knows how they passed away? I mean, they could have passed away somebody else and just going back and reliving that, and it's just a broken record. Just repeats itself over and over again. But yet, whenever that stops, they can go to intelligent. They know what's going on. It's like, they can sit here and communicate with you this and that, but then whenever it's time to come, it's time to go through that residual playback again, and then they snap out of it and go back to it. Have you ever seen the movie High Spirits?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's Jeff Gutenberg, I believe, in it, and Liam Nelson, or
Yeah.
from what Beverly D'Angelo, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and basically what they're in this castle and it's haunted, and all these spirits there, they just keep on going through their residual, their broken record, their playback on how they died, or how this guy killed his wife, and it was just over and over, and they have to relive it because it's like a purgatory. It's like their own living hell. They have to suffer through it, but whenever their little hell is over with, then they're back to being an intelligent haunt, being an intelligent spirit. They can communicate with you and this and that, but that, like I said, that time comes 2-3 o'clock in the morning, they have to go back to their purgatory.
Can you imagine being in the spirit world, because you always hear, everybody, it doesn't matter what faith base you go after, but everybody goes to the light. Everybody has their own heaven and things like that. But could you imagine being that spirit that, you're stuck in that loop? I mean, that would be like the worst thing. That would be my luck.
Yeah.
It's and it's probably would be me walking an aisle in Walmart constantly having to say, excuse me,
Mine would be going in a grocery store.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, and a lot of people don't realize it because, as the paranormal shows are out there, different things that, they have kind of boxed certain things in, like you said, residual and intelligent, not realizing that spirit world has its own dynamic of what it does and what it doesn't do.
Right.
Uh,
Right, exactly. And I agree with you on that. And see, that's why we're supposedly in here to do the right thing and do this, to teach other people. We learn from people, this and that, back and forth. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Like, something real cool that I've noticed, like 3 years ago, I came up with the name Watcher. And I
yes.
started telling people about it, that this and that, and what exactly my theory is with them, blah, blah, blah. And being up here in the New England states for the last 3 years, I've sit here to done multiple investigations, events, this and that, and just spread that news that, my theory on blah, 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 this, that. And next thing you know, I go to the, it's happened a few times. I've been at an event, and somebody I've never been to my event before, knows who I am, but never been to my event before. I've never put anything online about a watcher. I've always used word of mouth with it at events. And they'll come up to me, David, I think there's a watcher here. And I'm like, what? Really? Where'd you hear that? Where'd you hear that from? And they were like, oh, that's what I've heard people call them as watchers. I was like, yes, it's working. See, you're spreading your experiences to other people, and then they're opening their eyes up. And if they agree to what they think it is, the same what you agree to, you're and they're like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to start calling them because that's what it sounds like to me. That's what it feels like to me. So that's pretty cool.
Oh,
That's,
yeah. Well, and I've always used the word watcher, not for, what you call them for, but
mhm.
especially when I go somewhere where there is, Native American land.
Yes, yes,
And, the ones that are up in the trees that,
yeah,
they're like the scouts. Those are what I've always called watchers. I'm always like, people are like, "Oh my God, I feel like I'm being watched from these trees and stuff." And it's kind of become a thing too.
hmm
I just use it in a different text.
right,
But that's when I've been talking, on here and trying to explain, different things. Like just because it's a dark entity doesn't mean it's a demon. Can it act
hmm
like one? Or because we've never been given a book to say, these are the characteristics of a demon,
right.
so we can't really say, well, because it's doing this, it is. What are your thoughts around all that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree because I mean, we've talked about this before, and there's a lot of people out there agree it too. I mean, if you're an asshole during life, you're going to be one during death as well. I mean,
Amen.
and that's what it's going to be. You're just going to be a nasty person. It's not because it's a demon, type thing. Like even with people, which I understand this, like with mimics, they're like, oh my gosh, it's a demon. It's mimicking so. It's mimicking blah blah blah. And I mean, spirit can do whatever the hell they want. It's just because they mimic something, a cat meowing or somebody's voice, like your daughter's voice or your husband's voice. It doesn't mean it's a demon. You know, most of them are non-human entities, or they could be human entities that are actually the only reason they are mimicking, where you acknowledge them, and then you acknowledge them. If that's the
Yeah.
only way they can get you to acknowledge them, then bam, there you go. It's so funny you brought that up because I was watching something yesterday on TikTok about this guy. He was calling all mimicking entities, calling them demons and this and that. And I'm like, no, 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 sir, no, you're wrong.
Well, and do you believe because that word gets thrown out so much that we're actually, if there are demons, that we're giving energy to them because we speak that name more than we speak the name Jesus?
Well, I don't know. I don't think we're giving them energy. I really don't. Of course, from what I understand, I'm not like demonologist and stuff like you. And I'm not. That's not my forte or whatever because it scares the hell out of me. But just like aliens, I hate talking about aliens. But but I think now if it is something, I mean, you probably could manifest something like that. You probably could, but I'm sure it'd probably be other stuff involved and just steadily, saying
Yeah,
the word demon. And you and I know you have to invite them in to yourself. You have to, give them, hey, look, yeah, yeah, you can, I guess, possess, not really possess, but you could be a part
yeah,
of life type thing, blah, 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 blah. And, the tricky thing is with that too as well, you never know. You never know when you did it.
that's right.
You
That's right.
never know. You could easily have done it and not even realize you've done it. But I don't know. I guess it could. I guess it could sort of sort of energize it or whatever the word is. Maybe draw them to you. You know. But I really can't say anything about it because I've never ran across that I know of anything demonic over the years. I've never had the experience, and I hope I never do.
Well, very true. So let me ask this, so a lot of people say they call on spirits, and some say, well, I call on the darker spirits because they guide me and things like that. And I've had people say, yes, I did a ritual because I wanted to get a kate or the Morgan, and all this kind of stuff. What's your take on that? Because if you really don't know what they look like or how they acted, because everything is depicted on paper of what man put there, What do you think people are actually calling upon?
They don't know. They have no idea what they're calling upon. And I actually talked about this with a person on the show last week. We were talking about close to the same thing. I mean, we don't know what we're conjuring up. We have no idea. Even just investigating, we have no idea, because stuff back then, we don't know what the hell they practiced back then. We don't know how they did these rituals. We don't know what they did. We have no idea. Things now have completely changed from what it was back in the 17, 16, 1800s.
Yeah,
We don't know what the hell we're communicating with. And that's that's the chance you take. But whenever you're sitting here actually trying to get into the dark arts and try to, conjure up some sort of non-human entity that is just nasty as hell, why? Why do that? Why go to something that you can't, you don't know shit about? Even if you go back to the textbooks and try to look it up, how do you know it's right? How do you
that's
know
right.
that's the correct way?
That's where I was going with, because it's like, we see pictures of, the goddess Agate. She walks both the light and the dark.
Hmm.
But this is someone that drew her, and this is what they say, because of the Greek mythology of, the two hellhounds and things like that.
Yes, yes.
But do we really know she looked that way? And so your mind has already got that picture of what the statues look like, the pictures, the
Yeah,
paintings. And so, you could pull something up and conjure something up and think it's her because that picture is stuck in your brain.
right. And
And that is and that's what I keep running into when I do, like, I'm not sure if you do, but, like, private calls, because they're like, "Well, I was trying to call on my goddess to see if she'll work with me." I mean, do you think they really have time and wanna just sit around and spend time with you and
no,
just I mean, you know what let's just have tea together, you
no.
know?
That's just like demons. Demons don't get shit about humans.
No. No. And the thing is, they think demons are all low level, but people forget
Sheesh.
to realize they were freaking angels.
Yeah,
They were angels. They had the same power as
yeah,
Michael and, Gabriel and all them.
yeah.
Doesn't mean just because they went down under that they have no more power. They
Right,
can manipulate you worse than anything else, you
right.
know?
Yep, exactly. And you were talking about the goddess thing. I was like, how does that person know that they're not sitting here talking to Lilith? You're
Correct.
talking to the baby here. Hell, you don't.
And Lilith is, yeah, she on there now, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and maybe, she does come because of that, because, when you
Hmm.
do readings about Lilith, or, the Book of Enoch, and
Yeah.
they talk about Lilith, you know, she was pretty damn powerful.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure she could take on some of these other goddesses and just
Oh yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yes. That Lilith has always been interesting, definitely interesting to me, because I know actually one of my dolls here, that's her name, Lilith. but that that's always been interested to me. It really has, just all that stuff. You know.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at how we have history books, and we all follow, and I had spoke about this, like, locations. We only hear so much of the history of that location, because you think about it, 16, 17, 1800s, if there was something really bad going on behind closed doors, you did not speak about it in the open, because people, whether they would shun you or you wouldn't be that popular person. So we all run into these places going, okay, only this can happen because that's what the book said. Only these people were in this house, and it just amazes me that nobody kind of goes across that, of like, okay, well, yeah, maybe he was, the mayor of that town and everybody loved him because he was rich. But, in the basement, he kept, young girls captive and was
Exactly.
abusive. And when you start talking about that, people are like, "Oh God, that can't happen. That was not what I read on the pamphlet." You know?
They're not going to put the stuff that are real happy and unicorns and stuff. they're going to put that on the paper. They're not going to keep the dark stuff away. I mean, that's exactly why I like to go in locations. I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want
Amen.
anything. I just want to go in there and try to capture what I can and then put the pieces together later on.
And that's why I think, and I don't know if this is why a lot of things are turning darker. Is it really darker, or is it the people that have been pushed into the shadows, the spirits that have been pushed in the shadows because their story doesn't, follow the narrative? And
Hmm.
are they now coming out saying, no, here's really what's been happening in this place? What are
Right.
your thoughts?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. We're opening up the doors to the truth instead of what was on paper has been twisted by humans, to make it, you know, I guess feel safer for somebody to come in. Like I said, they don't want to have their dark stuff out there. There's a certain location that I go to that there was actually that really that's not on paper, but we have evidence of there was a kid that was actually he was accidentally killed by another kid. They were outside playing, hit his head. He was pushed off of the brick wall, hit his head, killed him, and the uncle buried him somewhere on the property, this and that, and they all kept it shut. The wife knew about it. Everybody knew about that. It was the dark side about that. It's not on paper, but we know what happened because it's been picked up by multiple people multiple times at this location that don't even know shit about it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Multiple. I was at a psychic fair at this location, and I've never met these people before in my life, and they just came up to me randomly throughout the day. Hey, David, is it just me, or am I picking up on like a kid that's done passed away here? And I was like, yep, and I can tell you exactly where I picked it up at. And we'll go walking out there, and all three of them all separate. They don't even know each other either. And I was like, yep, right there. And they were like, yep, let me guess, got pushed off the brick wall. Yep, sure did. So I mean, it's validation,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's if we're opening up the truth and the darker side of what happened back then or what happened on the property in these locations, yeah, it's coming to light. And you know that's probably going to be the overpowering spirits there because it was a traumatizing event. It was real
Yeah.
emotional.
Well, and that's just like when everybody always kids, oh, we're just seeing it because Michelle's here. I'm not a dark side type of person, I promise. But because I do see spirit in the way they passed and their story, it was a journey I had to take, to figure out how am I going to deal with this. And I always noticed it and never really said much because, it was one of those things that you don't want the location to go, "Oh, I don't want you back here because, you're
Right.
gonna scare other people." But, I mean, at some point, it would be great that some locations go, "Okay, here is what we have kind of found. We don't know if it's real, but this could have been a darker side of this location," and ask people. I think that's where the investigations would actually become more an investigation instead of a 5-minute segment on YouTube. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and, before we start closing up, and we got a couple minutes, I did want to let everyone know, if they go to Thriller Events, and it's thriller.events, on June 8th, David will, I'm so honored, will be with me at the Bell Mansion in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And of course, this place has a lot of layers, and I'm not going to say much because I want him to go in blind. But you can get tickets there that you can actually do an investigation, bringing David down to the Midwest.
Yay.
We got different types of spirits, okay?
Yeah.
um, but I think you guys would really enjoy, and I can't wait just to see the techniques he does. I do know that David actually also makes a lot of his own equipment, and so to be able to see some of the equipment that he's made and how it works, and actually do the investigation, but also learn from each other. But yes, it'll be June 8th at the Bell Mansion in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and tickets are on sale at thriller.events. I am super excited to have you, and I can't thank you enough for actually doing this with us. I like the perspective you bring into the paranormal field, and I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy that because we don't get a lot of that over here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
People, you say the Midwest, and they just picture all of us with, a little lantern running through buildings. Um, and I know you've got some other things coming up too for yourself. I also, of course, I am very honored we're gonna be in a movie together. And it's actually gonna be at a great location that you go to, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And the location is what? The Wilson Castle, correct?
Yes, Wilson Castle
Yes.
in Proctor, Vermont. Amazing location.
And so we're supposed to start filming that sometime in May. So that's going to be exciting.
Hmm.
And also, you are also part of the cast of Paranormal Exposure that will
Yes.
start filming here in March.
Hmm.
And hey, listen, here again, I'm there too. Yay!
Hey, woo!
And this is actually just kind of going through that, like we were talking about, showing the paranormal in a different light, showing of how we're going to find the different truths, like the truth behind the truth.
Yeah.
So that is going to be very amazing. And I know we have a lot of guests that are going to be on there. So that'll be an exciting time too. Is there anything else that you're doing that's coming up that people might want to check out?
Let's see. Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought I heard the door slam, my front door.
I thought I heard a door slam too, so I didn't know. I
Give
heard
me
it on
one
this
second.
side.
Give me 1 second. That was weird. I'll be right back. Give me a couple of seconds.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, that was weird.
Well, you just never know what's gonna happen, right?
I know. I know. My cottage. Yeah, my cottage is haunted. That's actually. I was talking about it on my episode of Paranormal Revenge, a couple of months back. But okay. Let's see. Of course, we got. Let's see. May 18th, got Wilson Castle. Tickets are on sale for that now. May 25th, we're doing Lake Swanee Abandoned Amusement Park.
Ooh,
Yep. You can go to Third Eye Events to check that out to get tickets for that. Of course, we got June 8th with you. Yay!
yay.
And yeah, and your daughter will be there too. I think is that correct?
I she's gonna try, but I
Okay.
I think what's gonna happen is she's supposed to be going to Hawaii, but I'm just not sure what are the dates are.
Ooh, Hawaii's
So it's
better.
a 50-50 chance she might be there or not, but we will have a lot of great guests there, so it'll
Yes.
be interesting.
Yes. Absolutely. I tell you what, I'd love to go to Hawaii too. I ain't gonna lie to you. Uh,
Yeah, me too.
let's see. We also got July 20th, a Black Swan Inn. That's with Third Eye. August 3rd is Wilson Castle. Me and Stormy Daniels will be holding an event there,
Oh,
fundraiser for Wilson.
nice.
And we got hold on, wait. October 18th, Wilson Castle Paracon.
Ooh,
Yes, at Wilson Castle is going to be a whole bunch of vendors, like 15 guest speakers, paranormal field, also paranormal exposure. They have a table there. Multiple vendors will be there, multiple production companies, this and that. So it's definitely going to be a blast. It's also we're doing a 20s Roaring 20s masquerade ball that night.
oh,
You know,
that sounds amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
so everybody dresses up in their 20s clothes, this and that, and that's that's actually hosted by Larissa Rex and Dave Giuliano and me. We're the Haunted Mafia, and we throw events on and stuff like that. You can go and check that out, Wilson Castle. You can go to my page, check any of the events out. You can also go to Third Eye Events. You can go to Haunted Mafia page and check that out. Let's see, we have November 2nd, Haunt Manor.
Nice.
Yep, got Haunt Manor going on. That Haunt Manor is actually it's me and Santiago. We're going from The
Okay.
Walking Dead. We're with Larissa. We're going to be investigating. That's in Canada, Toronto, Canada. That's event. And September we got Boarhead Manor.
Yes, that's with me again.
Yes, September
So
14th.
you've got a long list, and if anybody, these are all great events. I would tell them, you guys need to check it out. If you're wanting a different type of experience in the paranormal field, you can also find Dave Childers. Give him a follow on Facebook because he does post everything on there. We are going to be wrapping up, and I want to thank you, David, for being on and talking, and and definitely for your honesty. That was very refreshing.
Hmm.
And I can't wait to work with you. And again, guys, he's going to be at some amazing events. Definitely go check him out and give him a like on and a follow over there on Facebook so you can see all the great things that he's doing. And I want to thank all you guys again for listening. I will see you in the dark.